Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to Sit Down. City on a Hill Season 2 coming to Showtime. Aldis Hodge, Kevin Bacon. Fellas, what's up? How are you?
How you doing, man?
Brother?
It's really nice to have you both on. Listen, I was a big fan of Season 1. Really excited for Season 2. Kevin, why don't we start with you, man? Jackie is a really fascinating character, very flawed dude, but kind of knows who he is. What's been like playing this guy?
It's great. I mean, I remember when I got the pilot script, I looked at it and the first thing was like a solid page and a half of monologue, and I realized that this is a guy that just loves to hear himself talk. And sometimes you get these parts that are incredibly challenging because it's a man of few words. You know what I mean? And I've done a bunch of those where you really have to think a lot. I mean, Aldis did one where he didn't even have a line. I think where he didn't have a line for a really, really long time. That whole speech, we talked about that. That has its own challenges, But with this guy, he just can't shut up, and I find that really fascinating. And it makes me think about, like, what is the hole that he's trying to fill by all this BS, that's just constantly spilling at him. And also just the idea that he is someone who really, really spends a lot of time not telling the truth. And that's something that I find fun and interesting and challenging. And I love playing this character.
I think it's a really interesting character to explore. And Aldis, for you, Decorusi is somebody who is about the work, but he's got some stuff going on at home. He's just trying to figure out how to navigate the scene in Boston. What's most intriguing about playing that character?
For me, it is the exploration of understanding what Boston is and the city, his place in it. He came with a mission. He's still trying to figure out how to accomplish that mission. What makes this city work, what makes the people work, what makes his job environment work, because it is, it's a tasking challenge, working as an ADA in a system where you see the solutions that need to be accomplished, but you also see the problems. And sometimes you're closely attached to the problems. So he's, I think, sort of conflicted morally in a lot of ways. And he's really trying to establish who he is as a man and in a lot of these situations. So really trying to find out, where he stands on these things, trying to be a good husband and all. It's fun to watch the evolution of him coming into his true self.
Yeah, I really like how these two men are coming together, trying to figure out who they are. And we're also trying to figure out what Boston's all about. And Kevin, it's one thing for stuff to be happening in the 90s, but so much of what is happening today was happening back then. And I know the writing in Season 2 will kind of inform what's happening right now. So what was it like to kind of bridge all that together here?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time to be making the show that has a lot to do with race and with corruption. And I think that it certainly couldn't help but inform the writers' room in terms of the ways that they approach this. But there's also that feeling that, listen, you can't really look at this show and look at it and say, well, that's a period. Isn't it funny that they had all that racism and corruption back then? Wow, so glad those days are over, because that's just not the deal. It's become so painfully obvious in the last year. Well, let's put it this way: painfully obvious to some people, and some people have been living with it for
Ever.
hundreds of years.
Forever. Yeah.
And so, I think that people can't help but look at this season and this show through the lens of what has happened in America over the last year. Let's hope that lens doesn't get clouded over time. You know what I mean? That we can continue to try to keep our eyes open and our hearts open to the systematic injustice that exists in this country, because that's the only way that we can try to figure out a way to choose a better path.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. Aldis, I'd love to have you jump in here. I think about the parts that you've played, whether it's this part or or Jim Brown or even a Brian Banks, like your art has always done something bigger. So what does it mean to you to be in a show like this to really shine a light on the racism that was happening then and also still happening now?
What it means for me to be in a show like this, it's an opportunity. You know, I'm fortunate and really lucky to have been attached to projects and sort of carved out a pathway that speaks to my voice personally, where I can fill the shoes on screen that speak to the shoes I walk every day on the sidewalk. You know, I say this numerous times, but this is not a far-fetched reality for me because it's very current and still present today. And what I try to do with my art is take an opportunity to use whatever assets or advantages I have to shine a light on those things and have that conversation. I feel like with whatever work I do, it is a conversation, at least a conversation starter when it comes to the audience. So if I can have this kind of conversation on a global platform and open up a few minds to at least engage with a bit of intrigue what the problem is and what needs to be done about it, then I feel like there is the most privilege I'm afforded when it comes to this particular job. So I'm very happy to be a part of a project like this that we can really, you know, talk about it and show its ugliness and show the beauty of people coming together when they're trying to really do something about fixing it.
Yeah, it's definitely an important conversation to have. And Kevin, another conversation is just about being consistent in Hollywood and working all these different years. And for you, you've had all these different chapters to your career. So what have been some of the keys in navigating what can be a really challenging industry at times?
I like to say that there is no secret to longevity. Longevity is the secret. You know, if you just kind of hang in there and just keep doing your work, I mean, sooner or later, you're going to get better because I don't think we all start out being great. I know I didn't. And sooner or
Great
later,
from the beginning, sir. I was great.
great. And you clearly haven't seen some of my early shit. And, and also you just gotta, you know, I think you just have to try to hang in. It's you got to be tough skinned and be able to take a lot of slings and arrows in this business. And you know, nobody when you start out, except for maybe your family, is really pulling for you. You know, and just try to stay true to the work and hang in. And you know, sooner or later, you know, maybe if you're lucky, you get a lifetime achievement award.
I like that. Aldis, when you think about working with somebody like Kevin and, you know, the other experiences you've had, what's been the key for you? What have you learned along the way that has helped you to persevere?
The things I've learned along the way in terms of perseverance, patience, and unfathomable faith. You know, I've been I was kidding about the great Pampers, but kind of, you know, I mean, I've been in this game since I was like 2-3 years old, and I've seen many stages of it. I've played many different parts in terms of positioning. You know, I did background work where you are oftentimes treated like you're invisible, you know, but you have to know your purpose. You have to know what you're here for and not get distracted by anything along the way. You have to understand where to learn and where to grow. I think you have to stay in a constant state of growth. And when it comes to being a part of a project with, you know, somebody like Kev, who is, you know, I mean, respectfully, look, a legend in the game, but has so much knowledge and experience behind him, that is now a position for me to grow and learn from him. And at the same time, it's also validation of the fact that I can say as a professional, I've taken the right steps to put myself in the right positions with people that I feel I'm of the same caliber with, but also people that can teach me how to go beyond where I'm currently at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Surround yourself with teachers, surround yourself with real experience and real value so that you can learn how to define your own value for yourself. And this is being a professional in any particular field.
It's a little distracting because as soon as I play a scene, he's off there taking notes, right?
It's what I do. It's what I do. I even when I'm doing off camera, I'm there with a pad, you know, and Kevin's saying lines and I'm like, no. What was it? Yeah, Jackie, yeah, but yeah, you know, I think that You just have to be keen of what your path is and make sure that you are continuing to walk it and that you're not being distracted by either yourself primarily or the people that you allow into your space.
Before we run, can I get you each to say one word to describe season 2? Kevin, why don't you go first?
What was that word you had before? I was going to take yours.
I was going to say, we'll say it on 3. It's 1, 2, 3.
Evolutionary.
Beautiful. Aldis, Kevin, really nice to meet you both. Congrats on season 2 and best luck with everything going forward, all right?
Thank you, man.
Thank you.